John from Bootcamp.com. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're asking, what is the motor innervation of this nerve right here? So I'm going to be walking you through this dissection, and we're going to be answering this question. Now, this is a platform called Med School Bootcamp. You can click the link in our description, create an account for free, and get access to all these questions. So starting off first, what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at a dissection of the neck from an anterior and lateral perspective. You might notice one thing. We would normally have our sternocleidomastoid muscle spanning this direction. It would be found right around here. So this has actually been cut and it's been reflected, and we have a portion of it right here. So this portion right here is going to be our SCM. Now let's identify some of our other structures to use as landmarks for what we're looking at. Starting off first, if we move towards the midline, you're going to see we're going to have our trachea right here. You can see these cartilaginous rings all the way down the trachea. If we move superior on the trachea, that's where we're going to have our cricoid cartilage, which would be found right around this region. We're also going to have our thyroid cartilage right here. And you can see there's this little prominence right here. This is the laryngeal prominence of the thyroid cartilage, also known as your Adam's apple. Up here, this is where we're going to have our hyoid bone. In between the two, we're going to have our thyrohyoid membrane. As we start to move laterally, you're going to see we're going to have our left common carotid artery right here as it divides into the external carotid and the internal carotid arteries. And then we're going to have this set of muscles right here. This is going to be our anterior scalene. This will be our middle scalene right here. We're going to have our posterior scalene. And then found between our anterior scalene right here and our middle scalene, this is where our brachial plexus is going to break through. So we're going to have our trunks passing through these two muscles of our brachial plexus. So coming back to the original question, we have this nerve right here, and it's traveling inferiorly. It's originating in the upper cervical region, and it's traveling and inferiorly. And it's going to enter into our thorax. Now, how would we go about identifying this muscle? Well, one landmark that we can use is our anterior scalene muscle right here. So this can be used as a landmark for this nerve, because this nerve is always going to travel over this anterior scalene muscle. So this is the phrenic nerve, and it's always going to be found anterior to the anterior scalene muscle. So that is an important landmark when you're in the cadaver lab trying to identify the phrenic nerve. So what is the motor function of the phrenic nerve? So let's come over to our answer choices and go through them. So is it going to provide motor innervation to the external intercostals? Well, no, these are going to get their motor innervation from the anterior rami of the spinal nerves. The internal intercostals, similarly the anterior rami at each level of the spinal nerve. The innermost, again, similar to all three. So these are all innervated by the anterior rami of T1 through T11. And then the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is what's going to separate our thoracic cavity from our abdominal cavity. And it is the major driver for inhalation and expanding the volume of the thoracic cavity. So this phrenic nerve is going to go on to innervate the diaphragm and provide motor innervation to it. So let's lock that answer in. And that is the correct answer. And you can see 95% of students get this answer correct. And if you get it incorrect, you can always watch this video breakdown explaining why it's the correct answer and why the other ones are incorrect. So that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Again, this is Med School Bootcamp. Check the link in our description, create a free account, and I will see you all in the next one.